You guys, we have to talk about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives for just 1 second because that is my entire social media right now. And I don't watch it. Do you guys watch it? I don't watch
Of
it.
course I don't watch it.
Great. Althea, tell us the real truth from a viewer's standpoint. Because I'm a Utah girly.
Where do we
Lindsay's a Utah
begin?
girly. Althea was a Utah girly. You grew up here. So like this is our people. But like
Say this is our people. And
Althea's like,
I'm okay
please.
putting that out on the internet. I'm sorry to you cute little Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but
But we are not them. It's not quite the same. Okay, that's fair.
uh I just am hoping the Bachelorette, I don't know, it's all crazy. It's all crazy this week, guys.
I am a little bit them though, with my 44 Diet Coke in hand and my 3 kids under the age of 8. But yeah, they're crazy. Do you think, okay, so tell us what's going on with the Bachelorette. Like, I know this is the
Well,
extent of my knowledge, is like they may pull it.
I think they're pulling it.
That's crazy.
And they've also halted production on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on season 5. Here's what I don't get. The allegations are very strong, and I don't know what they are. Everyone doesn't know, but it's intense stuff. So I feel
It's
sad.
heavy
Yeah.
and sad. And is it really horrible that the first thing that comes to my head is like, that's going to be a huge loss for the Bachelorette franchise financially. Like, they spent a lot of money.
I
I
actually
don't know
was
what that says
excited for
about
it.
me, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
all the marketing dollars for Taylor Frankie Paul. Taylor, that's such a Utah name.
it's such a
Taylor Frankie Paul. Yeah,
yeah.
it's wild. And then she was like on Good Morning America and
And it
Kelly.
was the worst interview ever. I'm so sorry, girl, to say
It
that. But
was.
you weren't a good liar. You didn't pull it off, girl. You didn't. I just cringed. I couldn't.
It felt. Stop.
Everyone, round of
Pause.
applause.
Wow. This is an
Our
honor.
This is.
I I don't even, what were we talking about? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Let's jump into the fact that we're here on Thursday, March 19th, recording the Profitability Podcast, and our 2 non-podcasters are joining us today to be here.
Amazing.
I feel so cool. Welcome. Let's do a little small introduction. I promise it'll be easy. Everyone knows at this point Althea, our bookkeeper. She's been here for a while now, which is great. And we are also joined by Davy, our resident tax expert, which is truly a miracle considering she is in the thick of it and does not owe me any favors. So, really happy to have you here. As well as Lindsay, our newest bookkeeper, who's been here, what? A couple weeks.
Almost.
A month? Yes.
Yay!
Okay, cool. If you're listening to this, consider yourself lucky because this is a rare occurrence that we get these 2 beautiful ladies to join us. We strong-armed them today. So I'm glad you guys are here. We promise not to make you do anything too difficult, but
Appreciate that.
Davy, yeah, Davy is one of our 2 consistent listeners though. So
Oh,
it's really nice.
I love that.
Well, we were talking about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We can move on, but hope everyone's. Yeah, I don't watch it either, but it's like everywhere. It's hard to avoid because you're a Utah girly too, so it's everywhere. It's crazy. They're wild. All right, well, moving on. Welcome back to the Profitability Podcast. If you're new around here, we are all team members of the Profitability Project, which is a fractional CFO and accounting firm for small businesses and entrepreneurs who really want to get their financial crap together. If that sounds like you, chances are we could probably help, or this podcast maybe could point you in the right direction. And today we are going to be talking about running your business by the numbers, which is one of my favorite topics. And I'll tell you why. My parents are textbook nerds. My dad is currently like an AI specialist. He's going to kill me for saying it like that. He knows AI, which means nothing to me, but he's really smart. But before that, he has done business consulting my entire life and graduated as an econ major, which is the ugly redheaded stepsister of actual finance, if you ask me, but it does make him a numbers guy. And he does help me a lot on the pieces of finance I don't understand. And so numbers have been a part of my life for my whole life. And then my mom actually, she now runs a company called Ebident, which we actually run together, which is really fun. But before that, she was a dental consultant, and the business was called Dental Metrics. And so while she was a hygienist and worked in the dental field for, again, her whole life, my whole life, around the time I was in elementary school, she shifted over to the consulting side and talked mostly about the importance of running your business by the numbers. In fact, if you're a true OG listener, you can scroll back and see one of our earliest episodes. I did interview my mom about a similar topic of running your business by the numbers. And we're doing it again because this is actually so important. And finance is only one set of numbers that matter in your business. Dollars are a big part of it for obvious reasons, but there's a million different types of numbers that you can and should be looking at as a business owner. And today I want to talk about why that's the case and why running your business by the numbers will make you a more confident business owner and will actually help you sleep at night. Hold for the kindergartner. 1 second. Yes. Welcome, Melly, to the Profitability Podcast. What am I looking at? Nick and Judy on the Roku menu. Yeah. So cool. Okay, close that door for me. Thanks.
Bye.
And that was a word from our sponsors. Thank you. Now we're back.
Melly is my favorite.
That child.
She is my favorite.
When 20 years from now, we're digging this thing up from the archives, and she's like, I'm in therapy because my mom sucked. I want you all to just pull this clip, okay? And show that I let her stay home from school basically whenever she wanted, and she's out there eating snacks and watching TV. And that might put her in therapy for other reasons, but it wasn't for a lack of trying, you know? Anyways, back to the numbers. Oh boy. Okay. So I think that at least in my experience, a lot of founders know they should look at their numbers. And for a variety of reasons, they don't. But I don't think that this idea of like running your business by the numbers is news to anybody. Like they're probably, if you're listening again, you're probably looking at me going, wow, revolutionary stuff, Joey. Like, congratulations. But they don't, the thing I want to talk about is like, yes, you know, you're supposed to look at your numbers, but a lot of founders, myself included, sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed with like, what numbers matter the most? What numbers need to matter to me versus what numbers need to matter to Kenzie versus Althea or Davey or Lindsay? What numbers actually result in dollar bills in my pocket? And things like that. And so it can get really overwhelming because, you know, for example, you talk to somebody that wants to help you with their marketing and they're going to throw all kinds of metrics at you, especially if they're good at what they do. They're going to talk about customer acquisition costs. They're going to talk about ROI. They're going to talk about, clicks per, I don't know. Clearly, I'm not in marketing. There's a lot of numbers that they're going to throw at you. And all of those, you're going to go, yeah, that sounds important. And then you're going to walk away and go, first of all, I've never known what that number is in my business. And is that the reason that I'm struggling financially? Or I've never known that and I'm not struggling financially, so I don't ever need to know that. Or you're going to be like, yeah, one of those feels important, but the rest of them, it's like you're speaking Chinese. I don't know what you're talking about. And so my hope today is that we can kind of talk about like which numbers that you need to look at, why you need to look at them, and what a difference it will make in your business. So let's talk about really quickly what this typically can look like for founders. For me as a finance person, I'm often checking my bank balance. I'm often checking how much revenue we're doing, what our margins are, what our net income is, what our potential tax liability is going to be, particularly around this time of year. How much do I owe to the staff or the contractors or the marketing team or the lawyer, whatever it might be. Those are numbers that I'm looking at. And I will tell you straight up, that's it. I do not look at marketing numbers. I've been told to look at my analytics on Instagram. Don't ask me to do that. I wouldn't even know how to interpret them, let alone improve them. And I'm outing myself here, but really that's not running your business by the numbers. Checking your bank account balance isn't running your business by the numbers, not even close. It's just, well, it's a lot of things. It's an emotional reaction, probably, is really what it is. But it's definitely not running your business by the numbers. It's more of a reaction and a defense mechanism, probably, if I know anything about psychology. So what does it mean, Althea, when we talk about running your business by the numbers? What are we actually trying to say?
I think that you definitely need it coming down to it. It's like what's working and what's not working sometimes. And I think for different companies and businesses, it's going to be different things. But are you losing cost in a certain area faster than it's helping grow your margin or your profitability? Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's a
agree.
loaded
I think
question. And I'm over here like, okay, how much do I say? And
yeah.
I always am like, but are your books clean? I'm
But if
like,
your books are clean.
I know, I'm
Okay,
a
wait,
broken record.
let's detour just slightly and actually talk about that, because this is actually a good point when talking about running your business by the numbers. If,
Yeah.
especially, let's go back to the example of founder and CEO Joey Albertson, who has a lot to learn, but only looks at the profit and loss every 5 minutes. And I do think that's important, an important piece of running your business by the numbers. So if that's what I'm doing, let's talk about really quick, like, condense your rant for me,
I know.
because I know
I
you
know.
could spend the whole episode, and one day we will. But give
I know.
me, like, why does it matter that your books are done accurately if you want to run your business by the numbers?
Well, it's like all I can think of is, are you living in a fantasy world where your books are obviously not right and you don't know that?
Yeah.
So you're making financial decisions off of numbers that don't exist? Or are they realistically, like, are you looking at a realistically right situation where, okay, yeah, I actually spent $8,000 on marketing this month and it brought in zero money? Things like that.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say Davy, that she's going to love this because Davy's all about this. This is like Davy's superpower. If that marketing, why it matters if your books are clean is if you don't know if all that $8,000 is actually marketing costs, and some of that was office equipment or anything, meals. Yes, that does happen sometimes. I do see sometimes meals are put into marketing, and that can be in some cases, but not always. And then that's another thing is you're not looking at correct numbers, you know?
I like to, Davey, I feel like you're itching to talk. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Please, I need
Okay.
you to. I
Okay.
need you
You don't
to,
have to.
Davey. I'm like, I feel it.
The nodding is helpful.
Sorry, I'm like agreeing and like, yes, continue, because I'm terrible at talking and explaining, but
It's not true.
it all comes down, like, to me, paying the taxes. And
Yes.
if your numbers are wrong, like, it's one thing if you're looking at a quarter and saying, good, we had good profit margins, I can pay out a bonus. That's great. But come year end, if some of these things were not lined up correctly, or somebody just miscalculated somewhere along the lines, you're going to pay for it in tax season. And then we get angry clients at us, and then they're wondering, why didn't you pay attention to this somewhere? There's a lot of miscommunications of like the marketing thing. Should meals go in there? Like if you go and have a business meeting and because your signs are everywhere and you bring in some sandwiches, is it marketing meals? Sure, it's marketing meals, but those get classified as something else. So
Yes.
it's all a nightmare for me. So
My heart is singing. Like, you have to come now every time. This is so great.
I know. And I'm like sitting here thinking, and I'm like, Davy, this is her superpower. Like talking
No.
about books. Like, yes, I know I'm passionate about it, but Davy's done this way longer than Lindsay and I, and she's so good at it. And she's really good at clean books too. So, and that's not the only point of this podcast, but I'm like, oh, I've got to bring her in. We need Davy. We need her input. But
Well said.
I'll never forget the first time I worked with a big company, and the owner was so smart, but every single day he was looking at his bank account. I don't have money. I don't have money.
Yes.
Why are your books not showing that? And when I got on, somebody, I don't know who did their books. They didn't put his monthly withdrawals on the books. The money was coming out of the bank account, and we're talking like $10,000 a month. So it was coming out of the bank account, but it was nowhere on the books.
Like, not even on the balance sheet.
No. It was just coming out of
Oh.
the bank account. So he's looking at the bank account going, I have no money. And when I started, I'm like, well, I have everything in the books. Now, I hadn't reconciled that first month, but I'm like, it all makes sense. He's like, no, I am missing money. I can't pay bills. I don't have this. And at that time, he wouldn't even let me look at the bank account. So
Wow.
it was a struggle. Like, I don't have all the information I need. Things weren't getting in the books. And then when I had to explain it to him that the shareholder distributions don't show up on the P&L, that was a whole nother can of worms of mess. And
Yes.
they don't want to hear that type of thing. That's in the background. But
Yes.
I think my P&L should tell me everything. My net income is this based on the P&L. Okay. I'm out.
Okay, whatever, yeah, whatever you say. And this is where, Davey, this is so good because I had the same experience. Like the first time I worked for a big company, I the bank account was trash. I mean, they were financially strapped, and yet the P&L showed profit and that they were healthy and their margins were good and all of these things. And that was the first thing I had to come in and do is figure out why those two things weren't talking to each other. And then the second piece, and this happens almost every time I take a client on, is explaining the difference between net income and the cash that stays in the bank. And those are two different numbers. And I almost wish that wasn't the case. I understand why it needs to be, but I almost wish it wasn't the case because my CFO brain wants the P&L to show income and cash out and what's left over. And that's just not what a P&L does. It does some of that, but not owner's distributions. Those aren't showing up. Loan payments, those aren't showing up on the P&L, things like that. So I joke a lot that that's like 90% of my job is explaining why your P&L looks good, but your cash doesn't, and all of that. So, yes, I think that's so true. And it's like when I talk about running your business by the numbers, I hate this idea that founders have to know everything. To me, that's total garbage. First of all, no one can know everything. I don't even know everything there is to know about finance, and that's what I spend my whole day doing. So how on earth am I also expected to know everything about marketing and everything about sales and all of those things? I think I should be, educated in those things so I can hold my team accountable, so I can obviously run the business well and keep it growing. But when I talk about running your business by the numbers, I don't need you to become the expert in all of these things. Particularly, I don't need you to memorize all the financial terms or build this super complicated spreadsheet that you have to look at every minute of every day. And I don't want you looking at reports that you don't understand. And I definitely don't want these numbers to dictate how you feel about whether you're successful as a business owner or not. Numbers on their own are neutral. We can go in as accounting professionals and say this is a good margin or it's a not so good margin. But what founders often hear is you're good at business or you're bad at business. And those, I know how incredibly difficult it is to detangle those things. But that's part of it. Part of running your business by the numbers is being able to put a little bit of a shield that you can have a bad margin and still be a fantastic business owner. And there's ways to improve it, and both can be true at the same time. So that's a little bit what it's not. What it is for me is using data to make your decisions instead of guessing or gut checking. Like Davey said, you should be using your very clean and accurate books to determine if you can pay out bonuses, not just going, it feels like we're doing well, so everyone gets a $5,000 bonus. That's a bad choice. That is not running your business by numbers. It's knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I think that's important. For example, I know which service in my business makes the company the most money and which service makes a little bit of money and is worth continuing, and which service I should discontinue and not do anymore. Right now, I don't have any of those, but I have in the past. And that's because, again, I have clean books that are very accurate that show me very clearly what my margins are by service. Knowing what's not working, I talked about understanding the trade-offs in the ROI. Gracie, this morning we wrote an email together. I want you to talk about a little bit kind of the decision we were making based on numbers for this client. She asked our advice of what she should do. You're all laughing at me.
Well, because I was
it's a
like,
good
wait,
example.
Gracie and you were on an email? And I was like, oh, wait, she means me.
Did I say Gracie?
Like, is Joey going to catch it?
And was looking at you. Althea. Did I really say Gracie?
You really
That's
did.
hilarious.
But it was kind of cute. And I was like, wait, Gracie.
Where's Gracie? Althea
Anyway.
and I this morning. Good gravy. There's too many of you now. We wrote an email to a client this morning, and she asked our advice based on the numbers. Should I make this decision? Can you give us a little context of how she was running her business by the numbers?
Yeah. So without being too, like, explaining too much and keeping privacy.
Just equipment. She was looking at equipment.
Yeah. Equipment. And she wasn't sure if the equipment was going to be a good trade-off. And I think one of the things you really have to, when you're making business decisions and you're wanting to invest in services or equipment or things that might help your business, or even hiring someone, another employee, is where are you at right now? And one, do we have bigger fish to fry? That's like, when I'm, as a bookkeeper, that's what I'm thinking when I'm looking at the P&L and balance sheet. Or two, you know what, the risk is outweighing the benefits, or are the benefits outweighing the risk? And it really just comes down to the numbers.
Yeah. Well, and like a little bit of context, right? She has a similar piece of equipment already. And her email said, the rep is trying to get me to upgrade. And the rep was really great and told me all the benefits of this piece of equipment. And then he came back and was like, oh, but, if you upgrade, you're really going to get a lot of benefits. But she said, the benefits of having this current piece of equipment have been zero. I've paid a ton of money and I've made no money on it. So she says, should I upgrade or should I just stay where I'm at? And our answer was, financially, you've spent money and you've made no money back. So their ROI is negative. And so upgrading, unless you feel that this new piece of equipment really is going to bring in the revenue, you've got something over here that's already working, these services over here that don't require that piece of equipment. That's what's bringing the money in today. So unless you feel very confident that this upgrade is going to rake in the dollars, sell the current piece of equipment and don't buy anything else and just focus on what's working, because we can see the revenue coming in from these other services that she performs. And that's what I want you to do when you run your business by the numbers. I don't want you to look at these numbers and compare them to somebody else's numbers. I don't want you to feel like these numbers have to impress me or impress your spouse or impress your parents or whatever it is. Guilty of that. Want my dad to be proud of me. It's something I need to talk about in therapy. And I want you to use those numbers internally for you to just make more informed decisions. That's it. That's the whole point.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That's the whole point of what we're talking about. Like, whether it's financial numbers to determine if you have the budget to reinvest in additional equipment, whether it's marketing numbers, hey, your reels are getting, you can tell I'm not in marketing, but like your reels are getting way more views than your posts. So do more reels. I don't know. That's a bad example, but that's running your business by the numbers. It's not, did you get 10 million views? Who cares? No one. It's what's working, what's not working, and how does that determine what I do next as a business owner?
Right. And I think it's also like the numbers kind of give you as a founder, I've noticed they give you like a grounding confidence, and you're not emotionally basing these massive decisions on fear or gut decisions, because that's not the way to go about that.
Yes. Or ego gets in the way a lot. Some people know this, some people don't. Back in the fall, we were looking at doing an acquisition of another accounting firm and bringing them on. And there's a big part of me that wants to do an acquisition because I can put it on my resume. And that sounds really cool. And like something I can put on LinkedIn and people will be impressed by me and my dad will be proud of me. I don't know. I should stop bringing that up. It's really dramatic. My dad never listens to these, so it's fine. My mom might. She knows. Okay, it doesn't matter. But my ego is a huge part of why I want to do an acquisition. And that is a bad reason to do an acquisition, especially because 9 times out of 10 they fail, or you're spending, and we're talking millions of dollars to buy another business, right? Like multiple millions. Which isn't a lot of money to some people. It's a lot of money to me. And if the ROI on that is like razor thin, or if one of their clients or multiple of their clients leave and there's not good retention, there's a lot of churn after we take it over, which is a high possibility with new ownership, then now I'm paying multiple millions to make less money. And so those are the things that I need to look at when considering doing an acquisition, way over if it's going to look good on LinkedIn. And I think as founders, that can be difficult to get our egos out of the way, or like you said, get our emotions out of the way for sure, whatever those emotions may be. If you feel like you're about to go under as a business, you're like scrambling and making desperate decisions that may make the situation worse if you're not using data. to make that decision. Really quickly, let's talk about what it looks like when you don't run your business by the numbers. We've talked about a few things, but specifically, when you don't run your business by the numbers, some consequences would be, well, actually, I have a couple examples, like you hire too early or you don't charge enough. That's a huge one. Pricing is a huge problem that I see as a CFO of people are like, I don't understand why there's not money in the bank. And then just to pay their team to execute on the services is costing them more than they're bringing in for the services. Bingo. That's why, overspending on marketing. I pick on marketing so much. I really should stop, but
I do too.
is like the one for me that's like, I think I feel about marketing how most people feel about finance. It's like this weird, scary world that I just don't want to dive too much into because then I'll really find out how little I know about business. But ultimately, all of these examples I have listed, the consequence of them is making less money. Like if we really get to the root of this, if you don't run your business by the numbers, you will not make as much money as you should. You're leaving cash on the table. Whether it's you hired too early and so that employee is taking the cash and now you're strapped for actual dollars. You take on debt, but the ROI isn't worth it. You're not paying yourself. There's no profit, whatever it might be. All of those examples of not running your business by the numbers pretty much lead to the same end result. And that is not getting paid what you should get paid as a founder. And because that's one of our biggest goals at the Profitability Project is to help our clients get paid what they should get paid for all their hard work. That's really why we talk about this so often, is because chances are we can help you get paid if we're looking at the numbers and using that data to make decisions in your business rather than the emotional or ego driven or fear-based decisions that you talked about, Althea.
Right. And I think that's what's sad is like it can be so it seems small but it's so big for founders is usually they are the ones who are, if payroll's too high or the net income is very bad, then they're usually the ones taking the L for the month or the next couple months or the year, which is horrendous. That is huge. That's huge because you don't ask us. Yeah, you don't ask us as employees. You don't say, "Hey, Althea, cash is tight this month. Can you just work in this whole shift, the whole month for free?" Like, but then you guys are having to do it, and that can be detrimental.
Yeah, I really should ask you guys to do that more often, shouldn't I? That would probably work out in my favor. Althea's like, stop. Althea's husband is an almost doctor, so until he's an actual doctor, I'll keep paying you. That's fine.
Thank you, because that really helps.
Anytime, girl. No, it's true though. Like it does become the founder's problem, as it should. I'm a big believer in like founders eat or owners eat last. What is the book called by Simon Sinek? I'm a big believer in that. But I also am a big believer in profit first, which is that profit should be protected at all costs. And I think both can be true when you're making smart decisions based on the numbers and you can see what's working for you. Okay, so there's 4 specific numbers that I want to introduce to owners right now that I'm going to say, if you don't know how to run your business by the numbers, or you're like, this all sounds great, I want to get better at this, but I don't know where to start. I'm going to say the first thing you need to do to get started is obviously make sure that the data that you're looking at is true and accurate. We've beat it till it's dead, but it has to be said. Oh, that was like Dr. Seuss situation right there. Being the dead horse. Anyways, you have to have clean numbers or you're making bad decisions. Goes without saying. I said it anyways. Then after you've done that, let's talk about there's like 4 numbers I want you to start looking at on a monthly basis. Block out time on your calendar. I say this every podcast, but like block out time on your calendar once a month, once a quarter, whatever it needs to be to just get you started. 30 minutes. And these are the 4 numbers I want you to look at. First and foremost is revenue. If money is not coming in, it's going to be really hard to decide where to put it. Number 2 is margin. And if you don't know how to calculate your margin, chances are your books are probably not being done the way they should be done. And go back to step 1. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Start with clean books that actually tell you what you need to know as a founder. If your books aren't telling you what your margin is, that needs to be fixed. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, take your revenue minus your cost of gold. Having an aneurysm? What? Cost of goods sold? I think I just had a stroke. Revenue minus cost of goods sold. What's left is your gross profit, not your net income. I don't want advertising and meals and all of the things, just cost of goods sold. If you're a service-based business like me, this is my payroll for my people that are executing client work. It does not include my payroll. It does not include Kenzie's payroll because we really aren't working on client stuff. We're more admin. Gross profit is what's left over. What percent is that number of your revenue? That's your margin. Okay. And I can tell you based on your industry what that percentage should be, but because you will have operating expenses like marketing and meals and all those things, it should be a decent number. If we're looking at 2% gross margin, something's wrong. You either have too many people on your staff or you're not pricing high enough. Okay, so margin is number 2. Number 3 is cash. Cash is king. And we talk all the time about how your P&L doesn't match your bank account. And sometimes those numbers are going to look different because the way profit and loss reports are designed. But cash is important because if there's not cash in the bank, I don't care what the P&L is saying. It really doesn't matter because you need cash in the bank to continue business. Cash is king. So I need to know how much cash is in the bank, where that cash is going to be allocated, and how long that cash will last you to pay for upcoming expenses. And then 4, which if you're a service-based business is actually the same as margin, but if you're not a service-based business, number 4 is your payroll percentage. How much is it costing you to run the company? How much labor are you using to keep the company going? That's it. 4 numbers. Revenue, margin, cash, and payroll percentage. Look at those 4 things and then either come talk to me or life hack, go to ChatGPT and say my payroll percentage is 30%. I'm a onion farmer. Is that too high? I don't know. There's onion farmers out there, right? They run.
I love that was where your creativity went. I really do. That was great.
I don't know. The brain cells are not all the way there today, clearly. I'm having a hard time. Maybe, do you personally know any onion farmers? Have you ever worked for one? You see?
I do.
See? Out of curiosity, Davey, what should an onion farmer's margin be to be healthy?
I don't. It's
You stored that up there?
big warehouse, and I know that they do well, but
They
I
do
don't
well.
know their business stuff. So, as a
Okay,
bowler,
fair.
I know a lot of people. So, his wife bowls. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so cool.
That was the most random thing. Like it just came to me. It was inspiration. If you're an onion farmer listening to this, I'm gonna give you free bookkeeping for a month just because the chances are so slim. Don't tell your bowler friend's husband that, okay? Just he has to naturally, organically come across it. Anyways, ChatGPT is a great resource. I'm not going to tell you that it's like 110% accurate, but it's better than nothing, okay? If you're like, my payroll percentage is 30%, this is the industry I'm in, you can get a pretty good gauge of whether you're healthy or not. If you're unhealthy, that's definitely when you're going to want to come talk to us because we're going to tell you how to get out of that. situation. Again, 30 minutes. And the more you do it, the easier it will become. Pretty soon it'll be 15 minutes. Pretty soon you'll be doing 5 minutes a week and you'll get paid 10% more. I don't know. It just seems like the money comes when you're paying attention. So that's your homework assignment this week, everybody. And again, 4 numbers. Please don't pull up 50 stats. That is going to give you decision fatigue and then you'll stop doing it. You'll get out of the habit. Don't do that. You just need 4 numbers to help you start guiding your decisions. And I promise you this, cash will come if you're paying better attention. It will increase. It will feel easier and a little bit lighter. You will sleep better at night as a founder. You will gain confidence as a founder because now you will be able to tell somebody that asks for metrics. I don't know why that changes the game for founders, but when they know just 4 numbers, all of a sudden they don't feel like finance is this scary, mystical creature. It feels like they know what they're talking about. And when you are confident as a founder, you actually do make more informed decisions because fear isn't running those decisions. So it's just this beautiful spiral in the right direction, not a downward spiral, an upward spiral. And all you have to do is 30 minutes a month. So that's where I want you to start. I'm not promising more revenue, just PS, by the way. I can't control that. I do think it helps significantly because you start focusing on what works, which is why I say cash will follow. But you will also be able to like cut expenses and get your margins where they should be. So it's not always the equivalent of like, you're going to make more sales if you do this.
And patience. And patience is key too. It can take time,
For sure.
but yeah.
For sure. But you know exactly how much time you have because you're looking at cash, which is one of the 4 metrics. So, okay. Last topic I want to talk about is, and in the future, I also say this every podcast, but I just want to like keep the teasers going. Get excited, you guys. In the future, we're going to have more episodes about this because we're doing a lot of fun stuff behind the scenes around this. But just quickly, I want to touch about the emotional piece of running your business by the numbers. We've talked about how it kind of takes a little bit of emotion out of the game. But I'm a big believer that you will never get rid of emotion completely when you're talking about money. And I'm a really big believer that that shouldn't be the goal. We don't need to like cut emotion out of business. That's garbage. We're founders. We're people. The business is our baby. We care a lot. And I think that makes you a good founder. So I'm not asking you to get rid of emotion completely. I do want to get rid of like fear-based decisions because that will help you be a better business owner. But let's talk about Althea. Yes, Melly. Hustle. What's up? Okay, one more. There you go. Althea, talk us through some of the emotions that come up for people that cause them to avoid looking at these numbers. Because again, like we said at the beginning.
Absolutely fear. And I was thinking about when you were like, you're going to sleep better at night. And I'm like, wow, that is like so relatable for probably so many founders. Like being able to like have that weight off your shoulders and like almost just like breathe and that clarity of like, okay, actually, it's a confidence and a clarity if you are able to look at these numbers or just the emotion is taken out. And I think you're going to be able to show up better for your business and your employees and also yourself on a personal level.
And your families.
And then your families.
Speaking as a mom, when the business is running my life, I'm not the nicest mom. It really does make a difference in your personal life as a founder.
It's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. It's hard not to carry that heaviness around.
Yeah. yeah, fear is a big one. Shame is obviously a big one. We see that a lot in finance. Again, that comes up most often when these numbers are dictating your worth or whether or not you should or should be a business owner in general. What I want you to do when you're looking at these numbers is try your darndest to to separate those two things. There's an actual black and white verdict that comes from numbers, and that could look like it's objective, right? And an objective verdict could look like my margin is lower than industry standard. Revenue was down 20% from last month. Payroll percentage is too high for the amount of revenue that I'm bringing in. Those are objective verdicts. However, for founders, I mean for everybody, but I see this with founders, that verdict then immediately translates to an emotional verdict. An emotional verdict is totally subjective, and it looks like because revenue was down 20% from last month, that confirms to me that I should not be in business. It means I'm not serving my clients the way that I should. It means, I'm failing. I don't know. There's a million things that we make it mean. What I want you to do when you're looking at your numbers and running your business by the numbers is do your best to stop at the objective verdict. I want you to create an objective verdict. And then instead of getting mad, oh man, I'm going to forget who the researcher is. I need to text my dad. There's research that says the best way to interrupt this unhealthy cycle is don't get mad, get curious. And I love that. So
I like that.
As soon as that verdict comes out, don't immediately jump to the emotional verdict. Just get curious about the verdict. Revenue was down 20%. Why? It's not because you're bad at business. Probably not. It's not because you're not treating your clients well. Or maybe that is what it is, but okay, what are we going to do to fix it? That's the conclusion I want you to jump to, right? So it's so difficult. It takes a ton of practice, but when you interrupt that thought process, I promise all these benefits of running your business by the numbers that we keep talking about, sleeping at night, being a better spouse, being a better parent, being, like all of these things will come if you can get into the habit of getting rid of that emotional verdict and staying with the objective one and getting curious about the objective one. That's your job. And if you hire a CFO like me, a big benefit of that is that I get to be objective because emotions are not tied to it. But if you're not there yet, pretend you are the CFO. Take the emotion out of it. Get a little more objective. Just get curious. Say, what would Joey say? What would Davey say? What would Althea say? Revenue's down 20%. Why did that happen? How can we fix it? Just ignore all the other crap that tries to come with that because it's not true. All right. So really, every founder at some point in their business is going to have to decide, am I going to run this business by the numbers, or am I going to react? Am I going to run my business just by reacting? And the answer really should be obviously run your business by the numbers. The numbers aren't ever the problem. They're just a portion of the answer to solving the problem. So if you want help understanding what this can look like, or if you are curious about how we help founders run their business by the numbers and take a little bit of that emotion and that heaviness and those emotional verdicts out of running their numbers, definitely reach out. Obviously, we're on social media, Instagram, The Profitability Project, LLC. Good luck spelling it. It's a mouthful. You can find me on LinkedIn at Joey Albertson. And obviously, comment, like, subscribe to the podcast or Substack. We try and put a ton of educational material out there for all founders to help them just get started. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.